Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. Today's topic, CEO burnout in IT services. I'm Greg Rabine, and I help cybersecurity solution providers scale using AI-powered systems so they can grow revenue predictably. Running an services company is more than just keeping networks online. It's carrying the weight of the client's expectations, 24 by 7 demands, and constant pressure to stay ahead of security threats. Few people know that better than today's guest, Vincent Spinelli, CEO and founder of VSPINE Networks and Advisors, a veteran-owned IT and security firm known for its responsiveness, plain English communication, and commitment to solving problems at the root. I'm pleased to introduce today's guest, Vincent Spinelli.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me, Greg.
You're very welcome, Vince. So, before I turn the mic over to you, let me just run through the agenda, or topics, I should say. So, we'll start out with Vin introducing himself and telling us about his background, his experience, and his journey to being CEO of a company that he founded. Then we'll explore trends Vin is seeing in the industry. And then we'll talk about opportunities and challenges. And what comes to mind right away for me when I talk about opportunities and challenges is AI and the amount of visibility AI is getting today. And then we'll talk about, we'll wrap things up with Vin's thoughts on where things are headed. So, Vin, let me hand you the mic, and please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your experience and journey.
Great, thanks, Greg. So, as Greg said, my name's Vince Spinelli. I'm the owner and CEO and founder of VSPINE Networks. We've been in operation for about 12 years now, and it's been a great journey. Our mission is to bring cost-effective IT solutions to small, medium businesses, schools, and government across the Delaware Valley, defined as New Jersey, Philadelphia area, and Delaware. I started this. I've been in IT for over 45 years, so before it was called IT, actually. And when I started while my first job was in the U.S. Navy, and I was a radioman working for the commander of the Sixth Fleet. I was on his staff. So I was sort of like this kid in the mailroom and had access to all this technology. And I saw all the stuff that was happening in the world, all the bad things. And I developed this ideal that, this vision around if the world was exposed to all this technology and can only communicate with each other a little better, the world would be a better place. So fast forward to 2025, and the world is exposed to all this technology. And I think by and far the world is a better place. But this technology has also exposed some of the evil portions of mankind, and using some of this technology for not so good purposes. So I find myself really focused on securing technology and teaching humans how to use technology in a secure but productive way. So at VSPINE Networks, we take a very proactive approach towards managing technology across people, places, and things. And we do that through the lens of your productivity, your security, and your compliance. So throughout the course of my career, I've held positions very similar to CIO, CISO, compliance capabilities. And so my goal was to bring those experiences to small, medium business who really can't afford those different functions and wrap it up in a very cost-effective way. So, you mentioned, I think at the beginning, Greg, you mentioned results. So we tend to think of those results in business outcomes. really centered around your productivity, security, and compliance to minimize risk, enhance your revenue, and help you optimize costs. And those are the three areas that we really focus on, with our clients. We don't focus on technology first. We focus on what the business outcome needs to be, and then apply the right technologies to solve those problems. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that helps. That's really great, Vin, and it's great to hear how you approach um, helping your customers. And it's really great to hear that you served, and thank you for your service in the Navy, and that's really cool. So I agree.
It was a great experience, and I recommend it to anyone leaving high school.
In hindsight, I wish I did that. My twin brother went through. He was an officer in the Army. He went ROTC. But yeah, and he had a great experience. But I loved when you talked about seeing all that technology. And I had a similar experience when I was younger. It was a fantasy that became a reality. So when I was younger, and this is in the 60s, I'll date myself, we used to watch, Dick Tracy. And we had a babysitter. And she was probably, I guess, in high school. And then her boyfriend would come over once in a while. And he always brought us a gift. So one day, I said to him, next time you come over, can you bring me a Dick Tracy watch? that's, what
Right?
I, that's what I wanted. But I guess the what makes the story interesting, today it's reality and it's just fascinating. Back then it wasn't even close. But that,
Dick Tracy watch is now the Apple Watch and the Google glasses that are coming out.
yeah, exactly. So let's talk about responsiveness. So VSPINE promises live call answers and ticket responses within 15 minutes. That's a bold promise. How do you sustain that level of responsiveness as a CEO?
So this is the one area where we don't believe in AI. We believe in human-to-human touch, and so we have dedicated people who do nothing but answer the phone and route the calls to whether it's a sales inquiry or a service call, and we triage that call right away. We tend to prioritize any kind of security incidents, very important, and it's about human to human touch. And you had mentioned at the beginning, about AI. AI is very important to us in terms of how we um, operate our business. At the end of the day, to achieve that cost effectiveness, it's about automation. And there are a lot of tools out there that help us automate our services to our clients. But AI really helps accelerate and facilitate that automation. And for us, that's what really helps us deliver proactive instead of reactive services for our clients. And this is one of the challenges. You mentioned some of the challenges in your intro. There's a vast understanding, a wide swath of definitions of what IT actually is, right? So for the smaller businesses, they treat IT services firms like your plumber, right? When something breaks, I'm going to call you to come out and fix it. But for those who really value IT, like we do, we take a very programmatic and systemic approach towards managing your IT assets, your people, and provide proactive services in helping you identify problems and solving them before you even know about them. And we rely on AI technologies for that.
Oh, that's great. So, I mean, the human side of responsiveness is really critical. And I think that founders of companies, CEOs, or even the C-suite. I think what the way things have evolved, they need to know that the person that they're working with, somebody like yourself, a servicer, that they trust them and believe that they can guide and lead them through the challenges. And it's not about installing the latest software or the latest patch. It's about leading them through the challenges, may it be AI, machine learning, quantum. I mean, OT, IoT. I mean, and then compliance. There's lots of items on that list, but I think it's all about that relationship that the customer or prospect has with their services provider. That trust just is.
The magic word there, Greg, is trust. And every relationship that we have with our clients is founded on trust. As a trusted advisor, for our clients. And if we can't establish that trust, we won't take you on as a client because it's not worth it to you and it's not worth it to us, as a client. So, we really value the trust relationship we have with our clients.
No, I agree. I understand. And at the end of the day, the client has to be able to go home and be able to sleep at night, right? Not worrying about one breach that's gonna, I mean, the average breach for a small and medium-sized company, the losses could be somewhere around $3 million. That could be the end of the show for lots of small businesses.
Yeah, no, actually, so I partner with the FBI. I'm part of the InfraGard project here in the Philadelphia region. And we were just briefed last week, and the average breach cost for a small business is 4.5 million, actually. And the ransom is actually a very small part of it. The rest of it is in remediation and fines from the government. And hopefully, if you have insurance, insurance will cover that. But in a lot of cases, that's not the case. And so that's one of the things we're very, very effective at is making sure that you are dotting the I's and crossing the T's for your insurance policy and keeping you out of trouble with the government if or when a breach does occur.
No, I agree. So insurance, right? Just like health insurance, we all know that from raising children, but your application needs to be accurate. If it's not accurate and there's a breach or a problem and you make a claim, they're going to come in and audit it. And if what you have in place is not what's on your application, you know what? You're out.
Correct. And part of our job through all that is to show the insurance company the logs that they were doing A, B, C, D, and E in accordance with the requirements of the insurance company.
Yeah, and the insurance company, I mean, they're in the business not to pay. So,
Right.
and they're getting their internal cybersecurity technologies and monitoring and all the tools they have are pretty sophisticated now. And so, yeah, that's really critical. So, has delivering on the commitment ever pushed you or your team towards burnout? So, in other words, you talked about 15 minutes, right? And responding in 15 minutes. I mean, and that's a great commitment. And so, talk a little bit about your team and burnout.
Sure. So, my most valuable asset in the company is our people. And so we do everything we can to keep them happy, to make sure they're trained, and most importantly, not to burn them out. So we generally don't work overtime. Like I said, we do use AI. We have different levels of technical depth within our company across a broad range of technologies, whether it's traditional IT and workstations and servers, video surveillance. We're a licensed contractor here in New Jersey for burglar alarms, whether it's networking, whether it's VoIP. We're also a VoIP provider, backup and disaster recovery. And I say all this because the traditional IT vendor might just be focused on workstations, servers, and backups. And that in and of itself could be enough work to cause burnout, as you suggest. And so we're very cognizant. We track everything. in terms of time, how much time it takes for people to resolve things. I personally track frustration levels of my employees to make sure that they're not getting there. And I tell everybody, every day, when the phone rings here, no one's calling us to wish us a nice day. Everybody's calling us with a wide range of basically negative emotion from, frustration because, I can't print or my computer's slow, all the way up to fear and trepidation because I've been hacked, right? And so, at the end of the day, I constantly preach to our team to just ensure that you keep this in perspective. And when you go to bed at night, you can rest assured that you saved somebody's world today. And that's what you need to hang your hat on. So we're very, very sensitive to burnout. I also, another dimension of that is CEO burnout. So I belong to a number, not a lot, but a number of different peer groups where I meet with companies of all sizes across the country, across the world, actually. And we see, in a lot of cases, some of the smaller companies that don't have a staff, in place, the CEO is not only running the business, but also doing the work. And I think, that balance is something, as you're maturing as a company, you have to take into effect and manage that accordingly.
No, I agree. I mean, um, I see that, people in power positions like to do everything themselves, right? They want to do it themselves where they feel it's done right. Um, and yeah, so that could certainly lead to burnout. And all the roles of a CEO, I mean, there's many, right? That list is long also. So it's almost impossible. But it's great to hear that you help avoid burnout by no overtime, letting people go home and rest. But you talked about no overtime. So what other boundaries have you learned to set?
The others are, around family time. I mean, at the end of the day, people work to support their families. And, so at VSPINE Networks, we have a zero PTO policy. You can take off, as much time as you need, for your family within, practical bounds. I mean, if you're abusing it, that's a little bit of an issue. But generally speaking, we don't have that problem. People get sick. It's a fact of life. So, you got to take a sick day. I don't expect you to work because you're working from home and you're sick. Take off and rest and relax. If you're going on vacation with your family, shut your phone off. Don't take your laptop. Really recharge your batteries while you're at rest. So that's a key thing, for us is keeping people happy.
No, I agree, and
And I think, another thing, that I want to mention is on the customer service front. Before I learned the value of customer service at a very, very young age. Before I went into the Navy, I had two paper routes in the city of Philadelphia, and I was delivering 115 papers a day after school, and we collected every week. I think the average bill was $1.15 a week back then for the paper, 7 days a week. And what I learned was I learned the names of all my customers along that paper route. So, you know, Mrs. Smith may have said, "Hey, Vin, can you put the paper on the table over here every day?" Mr. Jones might say, "Hey, could you put the door inside my screen door every day?" And I remembered that, and I did that, and that paid off with that weekly collection, going forward. So the value of customer service was instilled in me at a very, very young age.
oh, that's a great story, and I agree that you know people react to positively to a little extra special attention. and being genuine and being caring and wanting to do a good job. And I'll never forget a quote I heard. I don't know if it was the New York Times, but a good restaurateur is somebody who makes you feel like you're in his home.
Right.
It's about making people feel comfortable, and and that's around. I mean, conversation, your demeanor, and then obviously being very professional and so forth.
Correct. Yeah, and that goes back to what you spoke about earlier around building trust relationships with our clients, and that's foundational to everything that we do. But the other thing that we do on top of that is we don't make our clients feel this small because they don't understand the technology. So the other thing we instill in our technicians and engineers is no geek speak, right? Talk to people in normal terms.
No, I agree. I love that. So VSpine covers everything from IT support to cybersecurity, cloud, physical security, application security. So, I mean, so many things, right? Network security. So, how do you maintain depth across so many areas without spreading thin?
It's about constant training. And one thing that I am I pay attention to this a lot is that burnout factor that you mentioned, right? What I found is given all the tools that we have in our arsenal, um, one person's capacity is finite, right? So you just need to know where those that person's finite capacity actually is before you have to maybe bring on that next person if finances allow for that. So that's the balance that you have to make is that burnout and that finite capacity to take on more things versus the financial burden of can I actually afford to hire that other person?
Nice. So, so we didn't. I didn't even include AI in that question. But what keeps you up at night in terms of staying ahead of the curve? I mean, I'm sure that's a pretty stressful task, or is it just part of your DNA?
It's part of the DNA, but I'd say the thing that I think about the most is actually AI and the lack of knowledge around AI. I mean, you can't turn on a television or pick up a print magazine or go online to any of the social media without seeing something about AI. Something's AI driven, and I think it's the most misunderstood um, technology that we've ever seen. Right? It's scary to some people. It scares me, to be honest with you, because like I told you, while AI has a lot of good to it, it also has a lot of bad. And so what I find myself thinking about a lot is how can I use AI to fight AI?
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. It's everywhere, and I'm just trying to use it effectively. Um, but you know, yeah, it's pretty challenging. But so how do organizations align their AI ambitions with the reality of governance, compliance, risk?
So it's really about matching the right technology to the business objectives that the organization is trying to achieve. Fundamentally, it just comes down to that. And at the end of the day, there are some technologies that work. Companies want to use AI to automate and optimize costs in the same way that we do in our business serving them. So, it's that having that knowledge helps us be able to articulate, what products and services out that are AI based out there are actually right for that company.
Understand? I mean, do you feel shadow IT and the user community bringing AI into the workplace is a risk?
It's a big time risk. So that's probably in the top five. Shadow IT is in the top five of what we try to protect against. We have a lot of our systems are set up to alarm and notify and beat different things, that something new was entered into the network, that we didn't install. And so we are constantly looking for those things and eliminating shadow IT as much as possible. And the other thing I want to mention, for the folks in the audience who aren't aware what shadow IT is, it's, you have a defined set of network and PCs and laptops and mobile phones and access points, and somebody brings in their own access point or switch because you need more capacity. So adding, extra stuff is not good. The other dimension to shadow IT that we're also focused on is, given the fact that almost every application is cloud-based today, there's this notion of cloud-based shadow IT as well. So we keep track of what SaaS applications you are actually logging onto, so that we have that inventory. So if there are moves, adds, and changes, new hires, people leave the company, we know what accounts to shut down. But then more importantly, we know if somebody's logging on to something that they historically haven't been logging onto, we'll get alerted about that and investigate. So it's about minimizing that risk.
Understood. I agree. And then we talked about earlier, burnout but I mean, your staff but how about you, the CEO's pressure cooker? Running an MSP means you're on the hook when client systems go down. How do you personally manage the stress and responsibility that comes with that?
Well, first of all, I think as a CEO, you kind of have to live with the fact that you're playing whack-a-mole all the time, putting out fires, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in service operations, finance, you name it. Things pop up every day. I can tell you that I have a set agenda, for my schedule every day. So much time for finance, for marketing, for this, and I leave time for the unknown, because the unknown always happens every day. So I think it's about just being self-aware and realizing that unknowns happen, and make provisions to accommodate for the unknown.
Nice. So can you share a time when the weight of the CEO role really tested you and what you learned about resilience?
I would say, the biggest issue, and I don't want to get into too much detail about this because I don't want to divulge confidentiality for customer names, but I'd say about a year ago, we serve a lot of churches and Catholic schools, and about a year ago, we monitor, firewalls and things like that. And there's always these onesie twosie things, trying to poke through and all that. But about a year ago, there was just an immense volume of attacks towards churches and schools. Um, I don't think I slept for a week as we were trying to investigate all these different attacks. I notified my counterparts at the FBI, and they said they see the same thing going on. And then all of a sudden, it just stopped. And then the car dealerships started getting attacked. So that was, kind of, one moment, in my life here as CEO that kind of really, if there was a time that stressed me out, it was that.
Nice. So have you ever had to adjust your leadership style to better support your team's mental and emotional health?
I don't know, not really. So my leadership style is transformative. So I believe in leading through vision and mission with our team, and I've always been that way, and I don't really see a need to change that. I tend not to be a hands-on micromanager. I believe in the value of people. I believe in, Steve Jobs said it best, right? I don't hire people for me to tell them what to do. I hire people for them to tell me what to do, right? So, I just keep that vision and mission. in focus for everybody every day. And goes back to what I said earlier. Nobody calls us to wish us a nice day, right? Everybody's having a bad day, and that's why they're calling us through this wide range of negative emotions. But at the end of the day, you did everything you could to make the world a better, safer place, and that's what you need to hang your hat on when you go to bed.
Understand. Thank you. So the MSP space is competitive, often commoditized. And how do you keep VSpine differentiated in the eyes of your clients?
Yeah, there's a couple dimensions to that. Number one, there is a wide swath of service capabilities in the IT support space. If you, in my region, if you click on and do a search on IT support near me, you won't see the map anymore. It'd just be a lot of red pins everywhere. And if you start double clicking and kind of sifting through the capabilities of all those people, I've kind of categorized the IT landscape as beginning with the I got a guide crowd, right? So when I ask people, hey, do you need some support? We can help you, proactive. People respond with, well, I got a guide. Somebody's uncle's brother's nephew who took a few computer classes. The plumber attitude that we spoke about earlier, right? And then the next is the traditional break fix IT support person who, again, very reactive services. People call them when something breaks. And then you have the managed service provider that does provide, more proactive services through AI-based tools and things like that. But a lot of these guys are just solely focused on traditional IT things like workstations, servers, printers, maybe some backups, and so forth. For us, and what differentiates us in that space is that we classify ourselves as a managed security service provider, and we focus on basically anything that touches the network. So, we spoke earlier around, the traditional IT components that I just defined, network, voice, backup and disaster recovery, audio visual, cabling and facilities, and so forth. So we're a full service IT support vendor as opposed to they only touch workstations and servers.
Understand. So how do your customers find you?
They look at us. How do they find us?
Yes.
They, a lot of word of mouth. So we
Okay.
have we have a lot of great customers who we've built that trust relationship with that evangelize us, and so a lot of our new business really comes from referrals. We do have a marketing team in place that we keep up with search engine optimization, make sure we're at the top, and play the Google game, if you will. And with Google Ads, we get our name out there with postcards and mailers. We're constantly sponsoring things. But anyone can find us at www.vspinenetworks.com. And there's all kinds of information on how to get in touch with me personally or someone from the team to help you out with any challenge you might have.
Excellent. Well, Vin, it was an excellent conversation and wow, a really robust conversation.
Thank
Um,
you.
Thank you so much for, thank you again for a truly insightful discussion. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us. We'll continue to bring on expert insights to help you protect your business in the ever evolving digital landscape. So until next time, stay cyber resilient.